Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to an unboxing for Yu-Gi-Oh! The Trading Card Game. This is for the Speed Duel set of the game. This is the GX Midterm Paradox. So a couple of things to break down here before we get into the actual components of the game is, first of all, what a Speed Duel is, and second of all, the GX Midterm Paradox thing. So GX is just the, meaning it's based off the GX series as opposed to the original, or one of the later series. Just that time frame, which we get Jayden, Syrus, some of them characters. The Midterm Paradox is just, that's the name of this particular box. There's also other GX boxes out there, which have other different characters and pre-built decks. And that's what this box is. This is a set of pre-built decks on here. This is a Speed Duel GX Duel Academy starter and expansion box. So let's talk about a tough teaching method. Dr. Colors hired none other than the Paradox brothers to teach Duel Academy students Jayden, Yuki, and Syrus True Scale a lesson. This mini box expansion for Speed Duel GX Duel Academy, so you can pick up that, which has a bunch more stuff in there. Also doubles as a starter deck with 4 complete Speed Duel decks: Jayden's new elemental hero monsters, Syrus's Roid monsters, Bastion's Water Dragon, and the Paradox brothers Gate Guardian Speed Duel collection. So it includes 100 common cards, 4 ready-to-play speed decks, so 1 for each player, or character set. Additional speed cards for deck building along with the Duel Academy box. So you can pick this up and play right out of it with one of the 4 little decks in here. Or if you pick up the Duel Academy or one of the expansions came afterwards, you can definitely mix and match stuff. There are 12 skill cards, which are a Speed Duel special thing. 4 or 12 secret rare variants. And then 2-player Jayden Yuki Sashu playing mat, and fully come out with Speed Duel and other Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So cool. So this is a fully playable thing right out of the box. So the other thing we want to break down before we hop in is, what is this Speed Duel? So for me, just as a little bit of context, I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh pretty much when it came out. I don't know if I was there like day one buying packs when they hit the store shelves, but I was there fairly early on, and I stuck right from the beginning. I play all the way up through GX stuff, and then starting to get after GX when I started to go away from it. Just I started collecting other things, and then they started adding too many rares for me. I know that some people also now, with even the more and more newer stuff, they have XYZ summons. I know it's like X's summons, and then they have like all the synchro summons, which are 5Ds. I started getting into that a little bit, but I didn't get too heavily into that. That's really when I started to drop off. And then I haven't even touched pendulum summons. I barely understand how they work myself. I could probably sit down and learn. I don't play the game, I don't collect it, so I haven't really gotten into it. But yeah, so the idea of Speed Duels is supposed to go back to the simpler times of Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of more mimic the original stuff. It doesn't have all the extra stuff. It doesn't have all these new summoning type stuff besides the original ritual summonings and fusion summonings. Also it kind of mirrors the anime a little bit more because it has smaller deck sizes, smaller play areas. And that's why it's supposed to be a Speed Duel, is because you're going to be flying through things a little bit quicker. But now you note that is every single card in here is the same as the card it would be in any other Yu-Gi-Oh set. And you can mix and match this. You could pick all these up and just play with any of your old Yu-Gi-Oh cards, your new Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You could potentially take all your current stuff and make your own Speed Duel decks if you want. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and look at some of those quick rule differences in there before we hop into the cards. So I'm going to slide this out of the way because I want to open up this playmat. Alright, so first of all, we have a big giant playmat here. Jayden and his heroes, Syrus and his Roid cards. It's just kind of hard to maybe tell on here about this. But here's one big difference on here is we have main monster zone. We have 3 spots, and we have 3 for spell and traps. Regular Yu-Gi-Oh has 5. So by shrinking it down to 3 means you're going to have less cards in play. And that's part of the whole thing with speed, is since you have less things to put out, You're gonna have a smaller hand size, smaller life total. It's just trying to accelerate the game to play a little bit quicker and faster. You also have to adapt your strategies. Certain cards and things won't work because they don't have them. So some interesting stuff there. On the one side, of course, we have our spot for our graveyard or our GY and the deck. And on the other side, we have our field zone and we have an extra deck. So I'm going to flip this over and we're going to look at some of the standard rules here. I'm not going to break down how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But we do want to look at some of the base stuff in here because it does kind of explain some of the new stuff in here. So each ghost needed 4,000 life points instead of the standard 8,000 you would have had in regular Yu-Gi-Oh! So half the life points. Your deck needs to contain between 20 and 30 cards as opposed to 40 to 60. So again, smaller deck means you're going to be running through your deck quicker, you're going to find stuff faster. Now more than 3 copies of the same card. Your extra deck can be between 0 and 6 cards. So you can't bring a extra, like I'm playing like Jayden's hero monsters. I can't bring every single hero monster I own. I have to limit it down. Shuffle your deck for a go and place your extra deck below your field zone. Each will choose 1 skill card. Skill cards are a brand new card type for specifically this mode. Or version of the game. And then you determine who goes first. Each will drop the top 4 cards from the deck. That is another thing. You also start with only 4 cards instead. I think normally you have 7. So again, having less cards in your hand, having less area to play stuff, and having less cards in your deck is also going to shut down some of the analysis paralysis people might have, because you have less options on what to do, meaning you're going to play stuff a little bit quicker. Eliminating 3 cards out of your hand from 4 to 7 makes a huge difference on what you're going to do, because now you only have to look at 4 cards on the side. And again, only having 3 spots on the board means you're going to really have to kind of, you can also argue could up your analysis process when you get stuck thinking, because now you have to decide more what you can afford to play. But then again, if you have less cards and less zones, you're going to have to be a little bit quicker on it. Other than that, almost all the other rules are the same. I'm just trying to check if there's anything else. There are some other alternative ways to play with some of the other stuff like Synchro and that, but Speedo's, at least this set doesn't have any of that in there. All the attacking, all that stuff works the exact same. Summoning stuff, that's just all the rest of these rules saying how you can summon normal monsters by just playing with orange borders. Or effect monsters, if you want to summon with Ritual, you have to spend the card's text. You want tribute monsters, they're like level 4 for free, 5 or 6 cost 1, 7 or higher cost 2. So that stuff's all the same as normal. You can special summon. The other thing is you have field traps on here. So now each player can have their own field spell, which is something normally didn't happen. I think once one person played a new one, it eliminated the other one. So here now you can have 2. So again, that kind of helps speed up. So you don't have to worry about somebody getting rid of your own stuff. So then we have our deck list here, which we'll look at later. We have some additional cards. We have speed cards. It's down here, as mentioned, there's a Duel Academy box, has some more extra cards, which are really cool. So then the last thing we want to look at before we hop in there are rules for skill cards. Skill cards will help you make your grades. You're not required to use skill cards, but if you do, choose exactly 1 skill card before the duel. Start of the duel, place that skill card face down next to your field zone or extra unless the skill card instructs you to do something else with it. If a skill card says a certain type of card, it's that type for the entire game. During the duel, you can activate your skill card by flipping it face up. Your skill card tells you when to activate it. You can only activate it at that time. There's no change in being resolved. So activate is not a card effect, therefore it can't be in response to anything else. The skill card will only be activated once per duel unless there's specific instructions. And there's some optional dorm rules you can play with too, which is just kind of interesting. Yeah, so here's an example of a skill card. We're going to look at the text a little bit more, but this is for Jayden to use. So if you're basically like the idea is, not only am I playing Jayden's deck, now I have a card up because I am literally playing as Jayden. Jayden Yuki, which is kind of a neat idea. It says flip this card over, you want to activate, you flip it over. It's going to give you a special, like, one-time effect. And there's one for, like, each different character. There's one for Syrus and Bastion. So it's a neat little extra way. And then I know there's ones that also have some for the traditional Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters, like Yugi, Joey, Kaiba, and stuff like that. You can get some for, like, Bandit Keith. And they have a lot of different ones for all the other different characters. Yeah, so they're really neat little ideas to be able to kind of add into the game. So it's also like, hey, not only do you have a quick little deck, but you might have this one other card, but since they also have this extra deck with other ones, we have another different one for Jayden. We have one if you want to play a team of Jayden and Syrus. So they have alternate ones you can get as well, so it's not like one character has one card and that's all they do. So let's go ahead and look at what these do. So we're going to start with this one. Jayden, just to see what this does, so we can see how it functions with his deck. So it says, activate the skill during the main phase. Discard one card, then fusion summon one elemental hero fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. If summoning an elemental hero fusion monster, the way requires 3 or more materials, you control 2 elemental hero monsters that are mentioned on the materials. You can also use monsters in your fusion deck as material. The skill is going to be used once per duel. So here, Heroes Unite Fusion. So basically this acts as like a polymerization that you can instantly have at any point. And if you ever want to cost 3 or more and you control at least 2 that are mentioned, you can use a card from your fusion deck as a third one. I think there was also a mention here. Attack. Did I want to? Yeah. I did want to mention this too, as long as we're talking about fusion. So, they're just saying some formats to play. I didn't really get into this too much, but there are a couple of different ones. You have Double Up. In this format, each duelist can use 2 skill cards instead of 1. You have each deck designed to work with both skill cards included for each character. So this will kind of let you, like, mix your decks together and match and give you some extra stuff as well. Contact Fusion is another special format you can play. In this format, polymerization is needed to fusion summon. So you need to control fusion monsters, so you can just have them on the table and fuse them. So this is just another way to speed up the game if you choose. You can do tag duels, or you can do a 2-player deck. Jayden Syrus versus the Paradox requires 2 copies of Speed Duel X. It's Jayden Syrus versus the Paradox Brothers. 2 duelists used playing include Jayden Yuki and Syrus Fugo decks with UFOA Rogue Fighters added to both extra decks. The other 2 duelists use their own Paradox Brothers, each using a different Paradox Brothers skill card. It's kind of dumb because it does sound like the reason why you need 2 decks for the 2 boxes, because one person plays a Paradox Brother, the other one plays the exact same deck. So that's the only reason you would need that. But yeah, you have some other different ones you can add in there as well. So that's kind of neat. They have some other different ways you can play the game that way. Alright. Playmat, you're getting folded up later. You're becoming a pain in my ace. Alright. So let's see what Jayden's deck does. Alright, so he has a basic monster, Elemental Hero Aven. I'm not going to go over all the different stuff on there. Wing, 3 types, attack, defense, all that. Now, no, it does say Speed Duel on here. So, I think there's some contention between the rules. There's the official rules that say if a card has to say Speed Duel to be able to use it for the Speed Duel. So, if you want to play Speed Duel, like especially in any sort of tournament or format with other people, competition, you can only buy cards that have Speed Duel. So, this is kind of a thing of like, I can take this card and play this in any other deck I want. Like normal is a regular Elemental Hero Avian. But if I want to play Speed Duels, you're only allowed to buy the Speed Duel stuff. So the idea would be, if you want to play Speed Duels, just buy Speed Duel packs. Because if you start buying other packs, you're technically not going to be able to use them. And I say technically because, like any other game, you ever own, is that everyone can play however they want at their own home. You're playing with your siblings or your significant other or your friends at home. You can mix any cards and make any speed duel however you want, using anything from any set, as long as you follow the other basic rules like deck size, hand, all that. And that can make for some interesting gameplays. But for tournament stuff, keep in mind it has to say speed duel on it. Alright, we have Elemental Hero Burstina Tricks. Elemental Hero Clayman, who's a higher defense. And then we have Elemental Hero Sparkman. So this is the basis of Jayden's deck. Is he uses Elemental Heroes to fuse them together and make bigger monsters. So we get Goddess with the Third Eye, which is an effect monster. This card can be used as a substitute for any fusion material mentioned on a card. So this helps you get fusions out quicker. Of course, his signature spirit card, Winged Kribo. If this card's on the field, is destroyed or sent to the graveyard. For the rest of the turn, you take no battle damage. Just a good defense. Dark Catapulter. Once per turn, during your standby, if this card is in defense position, place one counter on this card. You can banish cards in your graveyard equal to the number of counters on this card, then target that many spell traps on the field and destroy them. Remove all counters. So basically, you can sit around and boost up his things and then slowly destroy stuff. We have some effect Elemental Heroes. You have Elemental Hero Bubble Man. If this is the only card in your hand, you can special summon it from your hand. When this card is summoned, you can draw 2 cards. You must control no other cards and no other cards in your hand to activate and resolve this effect. So this is kind of neat. If there's nobody else on there, if the only card in your hand, he just to pop out really quick, and he just draw you 2 extra cards, which is really fun. Elemental Hero Blade Edge. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to the battle. Ooh, so this is new for me. They have officially added piercing into the keyword phrase. This is always something that kind of drove me nuts being a Magic the Gathering player with keywords, is Yu-Gi-Oh! Didn't use it, and now it's had all these long-ass texts. So piercing just means that if he would deal damage to a monster, and let's say his attack is 26 and the opponent's defense is 16, he would do 1,000 more extra damage. He gets to deal that directly through the monster. So that's really fun. Elemental Hero Wildheart is unaffected by trap spells or effects. That's cool. And then we have Elemental Hero Blazeman. This card's normal or special summon. You can add 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except fusion monsters. Also send 1 Elemental Hero monster from your deck to your graveyard, except Blazeman. If you do this, cards attribute and attack and defense become the same as the monster sent to the graveyard. Till the end of this turn, you can only use 1 Elemental Hero Blazeman effect per turn, only once per turn. So a lot of stuff on this card to break down. First of all, when he's summoned, you can add polymerization to help him fuse. And then you can activate the effect to not special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Elemental Heroes. You can also send 1 hero from your deck to the graveyard, except him, to give him the same attribute. So he can become fire, he can become an ice, water, whatever. Water, winged, dark. But he also gets the attack and defense, so he can boost up to some of the same ones. Cool. Alright, then we have Polymerization, which lets you fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using the cards from your hand or field as fusion material. He has the 8 Heated Heart card. Target 1 face-up monster you control until the end of this turn. It gains 500 attack if it attacks defense monster and inflicts piercing battle damage to your opponent. The R. So we only got 2 of the letters. You don't really can get enough to spell out hero. So just destroy spell traps on the field equal to the number of elemental heroes you control. Skyscraper 2. So yeah, most of the spell cards are just spell cards. This one actually has the little symbol on there for a field card. Once during your turn, during your main phase, if you control this card, you can target 1 elemental hero monster or graveyard that was destroyed by battle there, and special summon that target. This lets you special summon your guys, and it stays out. A Hero Lives. Oh, Elemental Hero Woodsman. If you control no face-up monsters, pay half your life points. Special summon one level 4 or lower elemental hero from your deck. So this could be crucial to getting out the guy you need to special summon. And then we have Sabatili, the Philosopher's Stone. If you have a winged creeple monster in your graveyard, pay half your life points, add one polymerization or fusion spell from your deck to your hand. This card's in your graveyard. You can banish 3 copies of it from your graveyard and target one monster on the field. It gains attack equal to the attack of the monsters on the field with the highest attack. So it's interesting here. It says you can get rid of 3 of these. Well, with this particular deck, we only have 1 copy of each card. Now, it does say in building you can have 3 copies of any card, but having a smaller deck pool means this is going to be really hard to do. So this is kind of a neat idea. With the speed goal, it's like you have to recustomize how you do your deck. You have half as many cards, so you're going to have a lot more, I think, singleton stuff, which is very nice for people that just want to buy booster packs. We have Hero Signal Trap. When this monster you control is destroyed by battle, sent to the graveyard, special summon one level 4 or lower elemental hero monster. Hero Ring. Target one warrior monster on the field with 1500 less attack. Equip this card to the target monsters on your opponent controllers with 19 or more attack to not attack equipped monster. Cool. Hero Counter Attack. When elemental hero monster you control is destroyed in battle, your opponent chooses one random card in your hand. The elemental hero monster destroy one monster your opponent controls. If you do, special summon the monster. So this could work really well if you have less cards in your hand. And then the last 5 cards we have are our fusion monsters. So here we have Elemental Hero Tempest, which requires Avian, Sparkman, and Bubbleman. Must be fusion summon. You can summon one other card you control to the graveyard. Then target one monster you control. Those cards are face up on the field. It cannot be destroyed in battle. So it fuses them together. So these kind of become a combination. We have Elemental Hero Electrum, which has Avian, Burstinatrix, Clayman, and Bubbleman. You know, the 4 elements. Will face up on the field. This card is also Wind, Water, Fire, and Earth type. When this card is fusion summoned, shuffle all banished cards into the decks. Gain 300 attack for each monster your opponent controls with the same attribute as this card. We have Wild Wingman, which is Wild Heart and Avian. Must be fusion summoned. You can discard one card, then target one spell or trap and destroy that target. Elemental Hero Mariner has Avian and Bubbleman. When you have any set cards in your spell or trap zone, this card can attack your opponent directly. And then finally we have Hero Nova Master, who has any elemental hero and 1 fire monster. Must be fusion summoned. This card destroys an opponent's monster, draw a card. So cool. So another thing to kind of keep in mind for this is like, here's maybe a possible another reason to buy a second deck of these. Because if you have a second one, now you can always be like, oh, cool, like, I notice I need more, like, maybe I don't really like Wild Heart or Blade Edge, right? You could pull them 2 out, pull out their fusion cards, add some of the other fusion of other, add another Avian and Burstinatrix, you can get this guy out quicker, or maybe, like, just again, if you're looking at these fusions, like, we have one that uses Bubbleman, and Avian uses Avian and Bubbleman, Avian and Bubbleman. So we have 3 that use Avian and Bubbleman. So having a second copy of each of them might be helpful. But then you can decide, do I want to have Burstinatrix and Clayman? And do I want to have Sparkman? Or do I want to have Wildheart? You could toss out Wildheart. You could toss out Sparkman for this one. Get rid of those 2. And maybe even Clay Hero and just focus on having Nova with the extra fire guys and Burstinatrix and extra Bubblemans, right? You could retweak your deck by adding more and less cards of each one. So that could be a potential reason to buy a second set at least, and you have a double copy of each. So that's pretty cool. Alright, let's hop into our second one. We have Syrus Truesdale set. So there's Syrus on the back. And Syrus's card, how is this going to work? Vehicle-Roid Connection Zone can be used to fusion summon any Roid monsters from your extra deck. All Roid monsters whose original level 6 or lower can be normal summoned, are set without tributing. Ooh, so you can get guys in cheaper. If a non-fusion roid machine monster you control whose original level is 6 or lower attacks an opponent during the opponent, it gains attack equal to its level times 100 during the damage step. If you only control non-machine monsters, flip this card over. Interesting. If you control a non-machine monster, you can flip this card over. So, as long as you, when you flip this over, it's always going to be active for all this different stuff to be able to do. Versus Jayden's just like a one-time fusion effect. This will always stay out. But, yeah, this one will let you keep doing stuff as long as you own machine monsters. Alright, the roids are alright. Alright, so he has a Psycho Roid. Just a little cheapy roids, which are all machine monsters, of course. Gyroid. First time this card be destroyed in each battle, it is not destroyed. Nice. The Steam Roids, these are like toony roid monsters. If this card attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 500 attack during the damage step. If this card is attacked by an opponent's monster, it loses 500 during it. So also know like this as gains 500 attack, and if you have this other card here, if you control a non-fusion roid monster's original level is 6 or lower, attacks an opponent monster, it gains attack equal to its own level times 100. So it's going to gain an extra 400 as well, so it could gain 900 during your opponent's turn, which is pretty cool. Drill Roid for damage calculation. If this card attacks a defense monster, destroy that monster. UFO Roid. This card is destroying battle. It's sent to the graveyard. You can special summon one machine monster has 15 or less attack from your face up in attack position. Mechanical Hounds. We do have some that aren't roids, but they do help. When you have no cards in your hand, your opponent cannot activate spells. Express Roid. When this card is summoned, you can target 2 roid monsters in your graveyard, express them, and add those to your hand. Ambulance Roid. When a roid monster is added from your graveyard to your hand, you can special summon it. Now, yeah, imagine teaming these up, right? So you have this guy out, and then when he does, you add 2 cards to your hand, and then boom. When they're added from your graveyard to your hand, you can automatically summon them. Good combos there. Submarine Roid. This card can attack your opponent directly, but when it does, using this effect, the battle damage with your opponent is the original attack of this card. At the end of the damage step of this card's battle, you can change it to your defense position. So this is kind of neat. So you can flip it to attack, have it attack for 800 directly the opponent, regardless if it has any boost or not. And then at the end of the turn, if it battles, you can flip it to defense, so it can defend each time. So that's pretty cool. Stealth Roid. At the end of your battle phase, if this card is battled, target one spell trap on the field, destroy that target. You must control another Roid for this to activate. Truck Roid. If this card is destroyed and an opponent's monster in battle, send it to the graveyard. Equip the destroyed monster. This card gains attack to the combined attack of the monsters equipped to it. Cool. And a Rescue Roid. When a roid monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, return that monster to your hand. You must control a face-up card on the field to activate and resolve this effect. Just kind of neat. That Rescue Roid combined with Ambulance Roid as well, right? So a roid monster is destroyed, returns to his hand, and Ambulance Roid puts it right back out. That's kind of a fun little combination. And Mixed Roid. You can tribute machine monster, special summon one non-wing roid monster from your deck. You can pay half your LP to banish any number of machine monsters in your graveyard, including this special summon from your extra deck one fusion monster of the same level as the number of those banished. Ignore its special summoning conditions, but destroy it during the end phase. Cool. So basically you can get rid of a bunch of stuff, these little polymerizations and on them, to then do like a one-turn summon. So it's kind of neat. So like Jayden's deck was all about, he has pretty decent powered heroes. They're pretty strong. The roids are a little bit weaker, but they all have boost effects on each other, and they have a little bit more synergy combination with each other. Alright, then we have some spell cards. We have Weapon Change. Continuous. Once you're in each your standby phase, you can pay 700 LP, then target one warrior machine monster you control. Switch the current attack and defensive target to your opponent's next turn. So I can turn something like this from a 0 attack to a 22 attack, or it could be worked really well with something like our submarine droid. So if he attacks with this, if you just attack normally, it can become 18. So a lot of these guys have high defense, but they don't have high attack. This can be very helpful with that. Shield Crush. Target one defense position monster on the field and destroy it. Alright, this is a skill card reference. Vehicleroid Connection Zone. Fusion summon one Vehicleroid fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. If you do, it cannot be destroyed by effects and cannot be negated. So this basically is like polymerization, but for fusion monsters. So it says Vehicle Connection Zone can be used to fusion summon any Roid monsters from your extra deck. All Roid monsters. So it normally has to be Vehicle Roid monsters. So we have some that have Vehicleroid name in there. That'll just let you summon any fusion monster with Roid in its name. So it gives you a wider variety. We have Twister, pay 500 LP, then target a face-up spell trap on the field and destroy it. Supercharge. If an opponent's monster declares an attack, well, all monsters you control are machine monsters. Go minimum and draw 2 cards. And every card in here is that. When this says set card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon level 1/4 or Machine Roid, the Wonder Drives. The idea of this is kind of like lead your opponent destroying this versus one of your other cards, but then you get a free summon out of it. Emergent Roid Call. When a spell or trap card or a monster effect is activated while you control a Roid fusion monster, negate the activation, send all cards with the same name as that card from the activating player's deck and extra deck to the graveyard. You can banish this card to the graveyard, then target one Roid in your graveyard. Add to your hand, you can only use this effect once per turn. This is kind of neat. So if they activate something, you have a fusion monster out, you can basically negate and get rid of all their stuff. Alright, our fusion monsters are Steam Gyroid, who uses a Gyroid and a Steamoid. So a little bit more specific on some of these. Super Vehicle Roid Gumbo Drill. So Steamoid, Gyroid, and Submariner Droid. A fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion monsters. This card attacks a defense position monster and inflict piercing battle damage. So this way you can't use a substitute card for it. You have to have them specific ones. So if you're mixing and matching stuff, you wouldn't be able to use Jayden's card to let him substitute a fusion monster. Ambulance Resteroid has Resteroid and Ambulance Roid. Once per turn, when a monster you control is destroyed by balance in the graveyard, you can special summon that monster in defense position. And then our last one is Super Vehicleroid Stealth Union. Truckroid, Expressroid, Goroid, and Stealthroid. Once per turn, you can target a face-up machine monster. Equip this target to that card will equip monster. By a monster's effect, this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. If this card attacks, its original attack is halved. If this card becomes a defense-based monster, inflict piercing battle damage. Cool. So this guy's like your super powerful one. But yeah, so unlike Jayden's, where yeah, some cards are used multiple times and he has different ways to fuse, these are a little bit maybe harder to fuse, but they have some pretty cool synergies with each other. Awesome. Let's look at our third deck. We have Bastion Mizawa, our raw yellow. Chemistry and Motion. Alright, we're going to have to zoom in on this one a little bit. Once per turn, you can place one counter on this card and then apply the appropriate effect depending on the number of counters. For one counter, discard a dinosaur monster, then add one dinosaur monster with a different attribute from your deck to your hand. 2. Normal summon one wind or water dinosaur monster from your hand. 3. The name of all water-based dinosaur monsters you currently control become Hydrogeddon until the end of this phase. Then add one binding H2O card from your deck tier or graveyard to your hand. And 4, remove all counters from this card. Change all attribute types of all face-up monsters on your opponent currently controls to the fire pyro until the end of turn. So interesting. So ideas like once per turn. So the first turn you can discard a dinosaur and get a different one. So if you need him, then kind of like later on, then turn 2 you can start summoning winning water monsters. 3 you can make Hydrogeddon, which is gonna have a very specific thing, and then finally can will become water. Then you can start back over. So what does he have? He has Water Dragon to start with on here. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be summoned with bonding H2O. The attack of the fire monsters and pyro monsters on the field becomes 0. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target 2 Hydrogeddon and 1 Oxygeddon in your graveyard and special summon them. So this is kind of like it's his own type of fusion monster almost. That's what that step 4 is. It turns all monsters on your opponent's side into pyro or fire type. So this then turns around and makes this all your monsters on his opponent's field and use that fourth counter become all become 0. So now he can freely attack and he doesn't have to worry about taking damage back. So that's pretty cool. We have Heal Zanryu, which is just a regular dragon. We get some really good attack. Here's our Hydrogeddon, who's also a dinosaur. When this card destroys an opponent's monster in battle, essentially grabbing special 1 Hydrogeddon from your deck. So we have 2 copies of him. So this is the first time in the entire game so far we have multiple copies. There you have Oxygeddon. This card is destroying battle. The pyro monster sent to the graveyard. Each player takes 800 damage. Jurassic Protops. Gain 100 attack for each monster your opponent controls. Jurassic Iguanon. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can set 1 target card your opponent controls. Turn that to its hand. Carbongeddon is another element dinosaur. If this card battles a fire monster during damage calculation, this card gains 1,000 attack. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon from your hand or deck 1 level 7 or lower dragon normal monster. Face up, you can only use this effect once per turn. Golgoron, the Mad Flame Kaiju. He's pretty beefy in levels. You can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's field in attack position by attributing monsters they control. If your opponent controls a Kaiju monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in attack position. You can only control 1 Kaiju monster. Once per turn, you can remove 3 Kaiju counters from anywhere on the field, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. The card cannot attack during the turn. Interesting. So, here's the idea with this, right? So you summon this to your opponent's side of the field, so you're giving them a big giant 300 point, but you're sacrificing their cards. So let's say he's playing against Jayden, right? And he has Elemental Hero Avian and Burstinatrix, or an Elemental Hero Avian and Wildheart. So you only can fuse them 2 together. You could spend his 2 guys to summon him. So yes, he's got a big giant monster. But what helps you for that, though, is now you got rid of his ability to fuse those 2 guys together. Secondly, why this works like this, we have a couple of guys in here that work very well if they're against flame monsters. You get that, we get our first guy out here we showed, Water Dragon. All of a sudden, now that guy's attack is 0 anyhow. So who cares you just dealing with a 3,000 attack creature if you have your other guy out, because now he's still down to 0. So great, there's some really cool stuff there. If your opponent already had a Kaiju monster, because maybe you gave them one, you can summon this guy to your side instead. So that's pretty cool. We have nothing with Kaiju counters yet, but we might get to them in neat way to add with possibly other things as well, expansions. Water Dragon Cluster. Cannot be thermal set. Must be summoned with the bonding trap spell. This card special summon, you can activate this effect. Effect monsters on your opponent currently controlled cannot activate for the rest of the turn. Also, their attack, change their attack to 0 till the end of this turn. You can tribute this card, special summon 2 water dragons from your hand or deck in defense position, ignoring their summoning conditions. Oh, cool. So if you get him out, it turns all their guys to 0 regardless of that speed duel card or skill card. But then you can also, like, just get rid of this guy to have 2 water dragons out. Then we have 2 copies of Duel Terran. You can discard this by adding 1. Discard this card, add 1 bonding spell trap from your deck to your hand. This is a normal special summon. You can target Hydro Dragon, Oxygen, or Duel Terran from your graveyard. Special summon. Only use it once per turn. Neat. Alright, then we have his spell cards. We have Ryoku. Target 2 face-up monsters on the field. Have the attack of 1 monster. If you do, the lost attack, add the lost attack to the other monster. Neat. That's awesome. Scroll of Bewitchment, which is an equipment. Activate this card by declaring 1 attribute. Attached monster becomes that attribute. So this could be, again, a way to turn your guys into, your opponents into fire monsters so you can deal with them. We have a field spell, the Legendary Ocean. This card's name is always treated as Umi. All water monsters on the field get 200 attack and defense, which isn't much, but it's better than nothing, right? Reduce the level of all water monsters in both player hands by 1, so this makes them easier to play. So, like, Duel Terra normally is a 5, so you have to tribute 1 to play him. With Legendary Ocean out, he's a 4. You can play him for free. So we have Bonding H2O. Tribute 2 Hydro Dragon, 1 Oxygen to special summon 1 monster water dragon from your hand. So, like, again, fusion, but it's very specific and you have to have on the other cards. Bonding D2O. Contribute 2 Duel Terrans and 1 Oxygen in your hand or field. Special summon Water Dragon or Water Dragon Cluster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Trigger special summon for the effects of Water Bonding H2O. Water Dragon Cluster sent for the field to your graveyard. This card is on your graveyard. Add this card to your hand. You only use this effect once per turn. And then Living Fossil. Activate card by targeting 1 level 4 or monster in your graveyard. Special summon and equip this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Even if this card leaves the banish it even if this card leaves the field. When this card leaves the field, banish the equip monster. Equip monster loses 1,000 attack. Also, its effects are negated. You can only activate 1 Living Fossil. So you can't use it for effects, but you can definitely use it to help summon stuff. So if you need to get it out to fuse something together. Curse Seal of the Forbidden. When a spell card is activated, discard 1 spell. You get the activation. If you do, destroy it. If you do that, rest of your point can activate spell cards with that name for the rest of this duel. And our last one is Bonding DHO. Shuffle a Durkuron, Hydro Dragon, Oxygen from your hand to your graveyard. Special summon 1 Water Cluster Dragon from your hand or graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard to take 1 Water Dragon, Water Cluster from your deck. So again, really cool with this. Neat fusions between just a select few cards. Jayden wants to get a bunch of different ones. You can mix and match them. Syrus's roids have cards that kind of bounce off of each other and their types. But none of them are individually strong. Here there's a lot of strong cards, but very specific ones you can combine. And if you ever bought a second set of these, you could pull out some of the other cards, maybe add some more of these. Maybe you don't care about the Water Cluster Dragon or the Duel Terran. You could get rid of those cards, add more of the Hydro Dragon and that, so you can have more of them guys summon interesting stuff. Alright, then our last deck is going to be the Paradox Brothers, who are from the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Come back, they play as a tag team. Behold, Gate Guardian. Activate the skill during your main phase. Shuffle your entire hand into the deck. Then add level 111. Add 1 level 11 monster from your deck to your hand. If you do, you can special summon up to 2 level 7 monsters with different attributes from your deck or graveyard, but their attack and defense becomes 0. Also, their effects are negated. When you control Gate Guardian, it gains the following effect. Okay, so first, before I get that, it says activate during your main phase, shuffle your entire hand in your deck and add 1 level 11 monster from your deck to your hand. If you do, you can special summon 2 other monsters. So you get one giant monster, plus you can add special summon 2 other small monsters at the cost of your hand. But they have no attack and no attributes. So they're basically going to be used for hopefully combining together to summon that 11 level monster, or tributing. It says we have Gate Guard. It says once will face up on the field. This card is targeted for an attack. You can change it to attacking monsters, attack to 0 until the end of the damage step. Cool. Alright, so here's our Gate Guardian. So here's your 11 cost card, which we're looking for. Not be normal summon set, must be special summon from your hand by tributing Sagging of the Thunder, Kajing, and Shuijing. So this is the one we want to look for. We have a basic card. We have Labyrinth Wall. Just high defense, 3,000 is really nice. Crass Clown. If this defense position is changed to attack, target one monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So we're going to get interesting here. We had hero monsters, we had roid monsters, we had dinosaur monsters, or elemental monsters. Now we're going to get kind of a weird collection. Dream Clown. This attack position is changed to face down defense, target one monster your opponent controls, and destroy that target. Jiragumo. When this card declares an attack, toss a coin, call it. If you call it wrong, lose half your HP. But it's really cheap to play for a high attack. Shaggle gains 1,000 or 100 attack for each monster in your graveyard. So here we have our 7 cost guys. Saga of the Thunder. Will face up on the field during damage calculation on your opponent's turn. If this card is being attacked, you can target the attacking monster, make the target 0 during damage calculation. So it just reduces your opponent's attack to 0 when it's being attacked. Kazujing, same exact thing for this one as well. So I'm not going to keep rereading this. And then we have Suijing, which is the same thing there. We have Stone Statue of the Aztec. Double any battle damage your opponent takes while attacking this monster. So he stays in defense. If they hit him, they can take a bunch of extra one. Ryu Kishin Clown. When this card is summoned, target when face up monster on the field changes its battle positioning. The Kaiser Seahorse. This card can be treated as two tributes for a summon of a light monster. Unshaven Angler. This card's tribute summons for 2 water. And Whirlwind Prodigy can be summoned 2 tribute summons for a wing. So I get these guys are is you get these 3 small ones out, and then they cost as double summons for your 7 costs. So then now you can play one guy to get your big guys out, to then summon your Gate Guardian. That's the idea. If you're just trying to focus on getting that Gate Guardian out. We have Soul Exchange. Target one monster your opponent controls. This turn, if you tribute a monster, you must tribute that target as if you control it. You cannot conduct your battle phase and turn you activate this. Just spend your opponent's monsters to tribute your own stuff. Fun. Fairy Meteor Crush. I remember this. Equip monster attacks the defense based on monster inflicts piercing. Tribute Doll. Tribute one monster, special summon 1 7 monster from your hand that can be normal summoned. Double Summon. You can conduct 2 normal summon sets this turn, not just 1. So again, let's repeat that skill card, right? You pull out your 11 card monster. You can special summon 2. You can also use this to help summon more of these guys quicker. Judgment of Anubis. When your opponent activates a spell card or destroy a spell or trap on the field, discard 1 card and negate the activation. If you do destroy it, then you destroy 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. If you do that, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's attack. And this will chain there. And then lastly, we have Nightmare, Labyrinth of Nightmare. Once per turn during the end phase, change the battle position of all face-up monsters this turn. Face-up monsters this turn player controls. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yes, we have some really neat stuff there that we can do for this guy. It's all about just getting that big giant sagging out. So we have fusion, different fusion. We have a third type of fusion. We have guys, kind of a fusion as well, but just tributing big giant monsters. So really neat. 4 different, very different types of decks. Then we have some extra spare cards you can get to add in. Some of these will work well with these decks. Some will work well with the previous decks. You have Desk Koala. Flip inflict 400 damage to your opponent for each card in their hand. White Magician Pikachu. During his standby phase, gain 400 HP for each monster you control. Death Wombat, take no effect damage. The Frost and Flame Dragon. Not be normal summon set, must be special summon from your hand by banishing 1 fire or 2 water and 2 water monsters from your graveyard. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card and target 1 monster field to destroy that target. So like this might be good, usable in possibly Jayden's deck or Bastion's deck, might not be as usable in some of the other ones. We have some Sea Koalas. Once per turn, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Change its target attack to 0 till the end turn. You must control another beast monster to activate this. Loud Cloudless Storm Serpent. Cannot be normal summoner set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 1 fire 1-wind monster from your graveyard. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can banish a fire monster from your graveyard to target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy the monster. If you do, gain attack equal to destroy monster's attack, or banish a winged monster from your graveyard, target 1 opponent's spell or trap and destroy it. Cool. Some spell cards. We have Fifth Hope, so there's our 5 elements: water, fire, electricity, earth, and air. Target 5 elemental cards in your graveyard, shuffle them into your deck, then draw 2 cards or draw 3 instead if you had no other cards in your field and in your hand when you activated this card. Disposable Learner Device. Equipped card gains 200 attack for each monster in your graveyard. During the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there from the turn, you can set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. You only use it once per turn. Pikachu Circle of Enchantment, take no effect damage till the end of the turn. We have UFO Roid Fighter. So UFO and 1 warrior monsters. Fusion summon this card can only be done with the above fusion material monsters. The original attack and defense becomes the combined attack of the 2 material monsters. So this is neat. So this one, if you wanted to combine the Jayden and Syrus decks together. And then we have Elemental Hero Necroid Shaman. So Wildheart and Necro Shade. Must be fusion summon. If this card is special summon, target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy that target, and special summon 1 monster from your opponent's graveyard to their field. Do we have Necro Shade? No, so this is kind of interesting. So we do not have Elemental Hero Necro Shade in this deck. Now, could you still use this? Yes, because we have the other card that lets you substitute fusion cards. So this can definitely be used to summon him. Once your opponent controls, then special summon 1 monster to their field. So yeah, basically you can destroy one of their powerful monsters to summon one of their weak ones. Cool. Alright, so then the last thing we have to look at, well, not the last thing, one of the next things I have to look at is some new skill cards for these guys. So you can switch these out. So a new Bastion. After the set, will you control Hydros and Ryu. So these are common, basic ones. Once per turn, you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. And if any of the following monsters are revealed, apply the appropriate skills in sequence, and place revealed cards on the bottom of your deck. Carbogeddon, 1 Hyrozen Ryu, you control gains 1,000 attack. Hydrogeddon controls unaffected by your opponent's monsters. And Oxygen, destroy 1 face-up monsters you opponent controls, inflict 800 damage. So that's kind of neat because he has Hydrogeddon, just a high-cost basic monster, no effect, but gives you a cool reason if you want to try and focus on getting him out versus some of the other stuff. We have one here for Chumley Huffington. This is another one of the main anime characters. So you can use him to create some cards from the other Duel Academy deck with this to make his deck if you like. Once per turn, you can change 1 face-up koala or kangaroo monsters battle position. Koala and kangaroo monsters you control can attack both face-up defense. If they do, apply their defense damage calculation. So that kind of works with some of these new ones we just got. Like we had Death Koala So you flip him over, he does 400 damage, but now he's kind of weak with his 11. So you immediately do this to change him to defense, and then he can attack with his defense. That's pretty fun. Jayden gets another one with Hero World. Once per turn, if you control a Hero Normal monster or a Hero Fusion monster, you can discard one of the active skills based on the attributes. An Earth, destroy an Earth monster you control, and one face-up monster your opponent controls. Wind, destroy a face-up spell or trap. Fire, return all face-up non-fire special summon monsters to their hands. Water, draw a card. Also next turn, you can activate a normal trap from your hand. And Light, change the battle position of one face-up monster on the field. So this is kind of cool. The other one had an extra fusion ability. This lets you play off what different cards you have. So if you're not as worried about getting that special one-time fusion, you can have an extra bonus here. We have Power Bond for Syrus. Activate the skill during your main phase. Discard one card. Then fusion summon one machine fusion from your extra deck. Using monsters from your hand or field as fusion monsters. If you do, it gains attack equal to the original attack till the end of the turn. Do not attack your opponent directly. During the end phase, you get damage equal to the amount gained. So the other one lets you play around with being able to fuse different monsters together. This one lets you get a quick fusion out, but it's only going to last. You're going to take damage every turn for it. Beware the Paradox Brothers. You can normal summon level 7 monsters for one less tribute. Ooh, so he gets his 3 guys out quicker. You can tribute summon one level 7 monster face up in addition to your normal set. Your opponent takes no effect damage though. And you can only attack with one monster each turn, with that monster making a second attack during each battle phase. So again, this is the idea of focusing on getting out your big guy and be able to hit him really hard. Of elementals, elements of thunder, water, and wind. Activate the skill during when your LP is at 1,000 or less. You can normal summon Suijin, Kazan, or Sagan without tributing summoning this turn. Or if you control all 3 of them, you can apply this skill instead. Sending as many cards from the field as possible. Special summon one gate card from your deck, ignoring its condition. Cool, so this is a different way to get their one special summon out. Believe in your bro if you're playing with Jayden and Syrus. Once per turn, you can activate these skills based on the face-up monsters. Elemental Hero, discard a trap, then a level 6 or lower machine roid from your graveyard to your hand, and you destroy one of your monsters your opponent controls with tactics less than or equal to the added cards. If you have a machine roid, discard a spell, then special summon level 6 or lower machine roid or elemental hero when you're decking defense but negate its effects. Or if you have both, discard, then fusion summon one fusion monster using only roid and elemental hero monsters. You only be used once per duel. So cool, so it gives you some extra special effects. And then the last one, we have another one just for Syrus. We have Small Roid, Big City. Once per turn, you can target one other face-up card you control. Destroy it. If you do, add one Roid from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, when an attack is declared involving your opponent's monster and Roid you control, you can send one Roid from your deck to your graveyard to switch the attacking defense. Cool. This is again another cool summon. This also becomes a field spell card. So it takes up your other field cards as well. Alright, then the very last thing we have for this is we have a special set of promo cards. Now this is 4 of 12. So you can potentially buy up to 3 of these sets. If you wanted to collect all of them. I don't know if each 4 are always going to be the same or if it's just a random 4. But we have a foil version of A Hero Lives. A foil version of Super Vehicle Jumbo Radio. So those are just foil versions of some of the cards. Bubble Man, and a foil version of UFO Fighter Ride. So, pretty cool. Whether I guess you want to buy this set 3 times to try and get all 12 of these at minimum 3 times. But this is kind of neat because now I have like another copy of UFO Rider. So I can now play this right off the bat with one person playing a Jayden deck, one player playing a Syrus deck right off the bat. So that's kind of cool. I get that extra thing. Plus, I have another bubble map. I want to add some of these. So, kind of a neat way to get some of those. I don't know if these 4 are going to be the same in the next 4. So, if there's like 3 packs of 4 or if they're just random. between all of them, so you might buy the same one multiple times. Yes, that's pretty cool. So they have the Academy deck you can buy. They have some other ones that came after this one. I don't know the names of them off the top of my head. Plus, I've seen booster packs as well, so you can pick them up and you can get stuff for some of the other characters. Usually, each booster, I think, is themed after 2 to 3 characters. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't do Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards too often. I think the last one I did was the Advent Calendar. Just because I don't collect Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore, but I do enjoy looking at them. I do enjoy going through this stuff. Cool things to look at, cool artwork, brings back some memories of stuff, so it's kind of fun occasionally to go through these. If you'd like to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, hit me up in the comment, let me know. Maybe I'll try and pick up one of the other Speed Duel decks, maybe I'll try and pick up some packs. I don't know if I'm going to buy too many of the new stuff, but these little themed ones where I could at least potentially sit down and just play a game if I want might be more interesting to me. Yeah, again, hit me up in a comment, let me know, check out my other videos. Anything else you'd like me see me check out, I also like to hear. See you guys later. Bye.